What up, folks? What it do? Welcome to another episode of the Best Advice Ever podcast. Yeah, with your boy, comedian Mike Goodwin, the bow tie comedian. And so, since this podcast is entitled The Best Advice Ever, that's what I'm leading with. The best advice ever. So this advice is advice that was passed down from generations. This is advice that when I was a youngster, I spent a lot of time around my elders, my grandparents, my uncles and aunts, or even just more seasoned individuals in my community. I was filling out this survey or signing up for this particular thing online today, and it had the drop down of the age. And my age is getting to the age of the elders. I'm about to no longer be the youngster. Now, in some circles, depending who you're around, you may always be a youngster. Like in fraternity life, I joined my fraternity in spring of 98. So if I'm hanging out with brothers that joined in the 80s, I could be 55 years old, but I'm still a youngster, right? But the advice that I gained or garnered from the older generation, specifically, I'm thinking my grandmother, is what I will give you today for the best advice. And it's simply, don't talk crazy to people that are preparing your food. I don't know if people know this. I don't know if people are aware of this, because I go out to eating establishments pretty regularly. I think you could tell by my frame. Eating establishments, restaurants, dives, drive-throughs. And I am astonished from time to time how people are interacting with the people that is preparing their food. Yeah, when I was a youngster, my grandparents and my grandmother taught me, hey, man, don't talk crazy to the people that's fixing your food. You don't know what they doing to your food back then. They could have dropped it on the floor. There's a comedian, Tyler Craig, rest in peace, but he had a joke. I think this is Tyler Craig joke. People can't, acting crazy on the drive. They pull up to the drive-through window and it's super aggressive. Talk to the people, look, you messed up my order last time I came in, so I want one pickle, no mayo, mustard, he just going off. And the people that are working in the back, they just kicking his sandwich all across the floor. They just stomping on it, kicking it to and fro. So I just think one of a great gem or best advice ever is have some consideration when you're talking to people that's preparing your food. Don't talk reckless to the chef and the servers, because they can give you a Johnny Special. You don't know what the code word is. I never worked in restaurants. That was my interesting decision that I made as a youngster. I worked in retail. I guess I worked in a grocery store. But when you were young, teenager looking for jobs, fast food is a very viable option. Well, it was back in my day. And now, a lot of jobs are being worked by people that may be outside of their age range. Like, ain't no teenage jobs no more. These are everybody jobs. But I found it quite interesting that I made the decision to not work in fast food because I love food, and I didn't want to see how the sausage was being made, because I would be very disappointed. I didn't want to lose my desire to eat food out of places that had staff of teenagers. So I decided. Now, I did work at Domino's Pizza. That is fast food, but I think that was a little different. I made some pizzas, but I was delivering more than anything. Delivering, I feel like I did a lot of delivery. I feel like I made a lot of pizza boxes. Like I just took stacks of cardboard and you had to construct the pizza box. Now, it wasn't anything super difficult, but you had to put the pizza boxes together and stack them up. So I did a lot of that, a lot of stacking of the pizza boxes. But I think I would prepare some pizzas. I mean, I think this was my first. This was the job I had in between me getting out of the Army and going to college. So when I got out of the Army, I went back and I worked at my high school job, my first official job that I was paying taxes, BILO. And then I also worked at Domino's Pizza simultaneously. I was going to write this joke. I'm doing this new joke about why it was so difficult for me to get through basic training. And a part of that, I think one of the lines I talk about is on the first day of my job, can you imagine if they made me assistant manager? That's kind of what happened to me in the Army. I came in the Army with rank. I probably outranked the majority of the people that I was in basic with because I had taken ROTC for 3 years in high school. Now, when I took ROTC in high school, it wasn't my goal to join the military. It just later in life it became a beneficial thing. Oh yeah, when you got 3 years, you come in as E3. On average, it takes a soldier to probably a year on average to get promoted to E3. Maybe I remember reading something like 4 months as a private, and then 12 months. Maybe I got that backwards. Maybe it's 12 months in service because there's like sometimes to qualify for rank, you got to have a certain amount of time in service, and then you have a certain amount of time in the rank. That's the rank before the rank that you're being promoted into. So I think it's 4 months as a private, which is the first rank. So you come into the Army as E1, naked, collar. You got nothing on your collar. Then that's E1. Then E2, you get the little mosquito wings. That normally takes about 4 months. Most times people can get promoted to private. I think I'm not an expert in the military promotions, but you either would get promoted in basic or shortly after you make it to your first duty station. And then to get promoted to PFC, you probably are about a year and some change into serving. So that's how I came into the military as a PFC when most folks come in as an E1. I'm an E3. But yeah, hopefully y'all will enjoy this joke as I'm working on it. Matter of fact, I did it this past weekend. But before I get into all that, let's wrap up this best advice ever. That's simply don't talk crazy to the people that are preparing your food. That's just some good advice. So, all right, y'all, I got to tell y'all this story. It's story time. Let me set my clock. It's story time now. Imagine this is. So I'm gonna say this statement, and then you can take it wherever you want to take it. But I most recently almost lost my family. Yeah, I did. In my mind, I thought I'd lost not my entire family, but my daughter and my wife specifically. So about a week ago, my family does a week-long vacation with my wife's side of the family. Her father served on the county council in their hometown. So every summer they would do this kind of retreat training, dinner, banquet type thing for the week, either in Isle of Palms or Hilton Head. And they've been doing this for a number of years. It's this family tradition at this point. And I think at some point, after going down there a few times, my mother-in-law figured, hey, why don't we just get a big house, Airbnb it, and then just have everyone come down and spend the week together. Now, everybody doesn't always make it for the entire week. Back in the day, we were there for a week. But as kids get older, some of my nieces and nephews, now they're adults. So they no longer live at home. They're out in the world pursuing their careers. So it's kind of a mixed bag of who showed up. And this actually was the most was the last time. And so my wife and children went to spend time with the family. Now I had shows, so I couldn't. I had to abbreviate my time in which I was gonna come. But we figured out when I would come, and I went down for a day because I had weekend shows and had some other things to take care of. So I went down for a day, spent a day, and then came on back. One of the reasons I came back because my wife and my daughter were leaving South Carolina to travel to Arkansas for a business meeting. They were going Monday night, Tuesday during the day, and then they were going to catch a flight from Arkansas to Charlotte, from Charlotte to Charleston. Now, from Arkansas to Charlotte would have put them in Charlotte around like 10 o'clock that night, later that night. And then, or even earlier, a little earlier before that, I'll say about 9:30. But their flight from Charlotte to Charleston was at 10, but it kept getting delayed, kept getting delayed, kept getting delayed. So we're communicating. And at some point, it's almost midnight. I text my wife basically, good night. I'm about to go to bed. Now, I send her that text. She sends me a text back basically saying, good night. Unfortunately, just moved our flight again. It's been delayed to 12:45. Again, I'm saying this is right. I'm going to bed right before midnight. So I go to bed. I wake up at about 3 o'clock in the morning, checking my phone because the way that my wife and I communicate when we travel, we let folks know when we're boarding. So we boarding. I'll shoot a boarding text. Then when I land in the city, typically for me it's Atlanta. I'll say in Atlanta. I'll send that text. Then I'll send the next text when I'm getting on the flight for the next leg of the trip. I'll say boarding again. And then when I get to my final destination, I'll say either that I'm here in the whatever city, or I'm just like, I made it. I'm here. I'm headed to the hotel, that type deal. And the same is true for my wife, that she does boarding and we're at this particular place. And so I go to bed, I wake up at like 3 o'clock, check my phone, no text. Okay, no big deal. I lay back down for maybe an hour and some change. I'm up at 5. Still no text. I'm up at 5. I'm like, man, let me go ahead and get my workout in for the day. So I get myself together. I'm about to leave to go to the gym, but I sent my wife a text. Hey, did y'all make it back to South Carolina? I said, send that text maybe at like 5:11 in the morning. Didn't hear anything back. And I'm thinking it's still early, so no big deal. But then I also text the same thing to my daughter, who's traveling with my wife. No response. Cool. Probably sleep. I go to the gym, doing my gym thing, working in the end, getting it done. So around about 6 o'clock, somewhere around 6, I start calling them. I call my wife maybe twice. Basically goes to voicemail. It rings a couple times, goes to voicemail. Then I call my daughter. Same type of thing happens. Like I said, it's like 6:20. So then I text my wife again, like, there's a certain text that we send that like, hey man, I'm serious. What's going on? Where you at? I sent that text. I didn't hear anything back. It's about 6:30. I'm a little concerned, but I'm like, oh man, late. So I leave the gym. I get home. I'm get home that probably it's like 7:11. Then I text my sister-in-law because my sister-in-law, from my experience, is one of the ones that is typically up pretty early, moving around in the house. So I text her. I didn't hear anything back. Now I'm starting to get nervous. I'm starting to feel away. Then I call my brother-in-law. His phone goes straight to voicemail. So now I'm a little bit in a quandary. I'm a little bit not panicking, but I'm a little bit like, yo, something just ain't right. Right? Something's not right. So from there, I kind of give myself a little pep talk because I'm like, hey man, let's control what we can control. Like I can't control any of this other stuff. Let's control what we can control. So I'm like, man, let me just get a shower, and make my way on down to Olive Park because I'm like, this is a little odd. Maybe something bad has happened and they don't want to tell me, right? So it's about 7:30. I call, like I said, I attempt to call my brother-in-law. It goes straight to voicemail. Then I'm under the impression that my wife is somewhere to be found. But like I may call the phone a few more times. Still nothing. So then her family has a group chat. So I text the group chat at like 7:39. Crickets. I basically was like, hey, I hadn't talked to Rosin since last night. Nothing. Nobody liked it. No comments. Nothing. So it was the time between 7:40, 7:58 before I get a text back from my wife. And it's a span of time that seems like forever. And in that moment of time, I lost my family. I thought my wife had perished. Because at this point, I'm Googling fatal car accidents in Sumter. I'm looking at the flights. Was there a mishap on the flights? All of that. My wife texts me, I'm sorry. Basically saying, my bad. And I'm like, girl. Because what I come up with, I kind of process all the scenarios. I'm like, man. Because I initially was like, maybe they got, kidnapped, hostage type scenario. But I'm like, if it was a hostage, dude would have been hit me up. But then I'm like, man, this poking and smoking the bear, man. Nobody's gonna be snatching my wife up off the street, man. She's real deal Holyfield, and she got my daughter with her. But then my next thought was like, she fell asleep at the wheel. She was tired, trying to drive back, fell asleep. We got an issue, got an incident. So again, I went from her being deceased to like something ain't right. Something's bad, right? So then I'm feeling away. And I'm going through all the things. I'm feeling bad about my daughter. I'm like, God, she just got her life started. Like she hadn't even began to meet the expectation of the type of life she would be having. Man, I'm like, I'm gonna be a single dad. I'm gonna tell people that my wife passed without them think I'm telling a joke. So yeah, man, I had going through all the scenarios of like, yo, my wife is falling asleep. And maybe she's not dead, but maybe they slammed in the tree and she's at the hospital. Nobody wants to tell me. And I'm legit going through feelings. I'm legit like, yo, I saw a Sunday. That was the last time. Who knew that was gonna be the last time I saw my wife? And I was like, man, yeah. Like I said, if I would call people and tell them my wife has passed, they would think I'm playing on the phone. They'd be like, man, Mike, quit playing. I'm like, I'm not playing. This is very serious. I'm not being fun. But my wife reached out. She apologized, and we had some conversations to had. Some conversations were to be had. But yeah, I thought I lost my family, people, but I feel great. I got a new lease on life. Didn't lose my family. My family's with me. They're doing well. We're gonna keep on keeping on. Now, you start this podcast with this segment, On the Road. I was on the road again. Went to Columbus, Georgia. No, I didn't go to Columbus, Georgia. I went to Columbus, Ohio. OH10. That's what a guy used to say. I don't know if they do that. Went to Columbus, Ohio. Flew into Columbus because I had an event in Vienna, West Virginia. Shout out to Vienna, West Virginia, to the church, First Baptist Church of Vienna, if I'm not mistaken. They were celebrating 100 years. 100 years celebration of the church. So I drove. They were 2 hours away from Columbus. So drove over. Very thankful to go to West Virginia in the summertime. But they did have a monsoon that happened along the way. But outside of the monsoon, it was all good. And when I was in West Virginia, what's interesting about this road, man, I was even thinking about doing some material on like my eating habits and on the road. And I think I've been deceiving myself. I'm just as bad off the road as I am on the road. But on the road, there's a lot of temptations, a lot of issues, right? And that's what happened this happened this past weekend. I go to West Virginia. They create a goodie bag for you, man. And this goodie bag, they had Mr. B's potato chips. They had a lot of local flair. So they had Mr. B's potato chips. And they didn't just give me one bag of potato chips. They gave me 6 bags. 6 bags of potato chips. One was the 304. I think that's the area code of West Virginia. Guess it's an interesting flavor. It was pretty good. And then they had barbecue and they had the salty. So they left that. They left a bag of caramel popcorn. They left some Swiss meats, not meats, sweets, chocolates. You know, those little surprise chocolates. They left a little box of chocolates. They left this like Christmas tree cookie, big old cookie. What else was in that bag? Oh, some pepperoni rolls. I don't know if y'all familiar with this West Virginia delicacy. It's like I don't even know what it's pizza-esque. I mean, it's kind of like a pig in a blanket, but with pepperoni and cheese. The guy kept asking me, was I, a basketball fan? Because Fran Fucello loves talking about the pepperoni rolls from West Virginia. So he gave me the pepperoni rolls, popcorn, potato chips. What else was in that bag? They gave me some coffee. There's a lot of stuff in that bag, man. And I was like, bro, I don't need to eat all this. I don't need to eat all this. And that was on Friday. And then when I did the Columbus Funny Bone. I did Columbus on September the 30th of last year. So I'm a little bit early, but it had a much better, not much better, but a better turnout this time. But when I get to the green room, the general manager comes in with this sheet cake, lemon sheet cake. I'm talking about a whole deep dish cake. And she tells me that the cake man made me the cake, and the cake man made me a cake. He left me a letter, which I read to the people. I'm like, hey, bro, man, I'm not trying to be putting on these LBs on this road. That man left me a whole sheet cake, bro. No cupcake, no slice. Just leave me a cake slice, not the whole entire cake. You leave me the whole entire cake in Columbia where I live. That do that, but don't put me in that type of pressure in Columbus. Man left a whole cake in there. So then also my buddies were in town. As a comedian, it's very, very rare that you're able to get to work around and with your buddies. Well, when I was in Columbus, my buddy Marcus D. Wiley was in Columbus also the Friday night when I arrived, because he might have got that Thursday, but he was doing the entertainment for the ladies of Delta Sigma Theta, and I think this is the Midwest district of Delta Sigma Theta. So they had multiple states that are up under this umbrella of the Midwest. Man, they took over the hotel. They had pictures all on the elevator. The branding was impeccable. It was something about championships was the theme. They had a boxing ring set up. I mean, it was phenomenal. It was absolutely phenomenal. My sister-in-law is a Delta, so I took some pictures and sent it to her. She was very, very appreciative. But I hung out with Marcus Wiley on Saturday. He came to my show. Then my other buddy, Mark Gregory, who actually came to Columbia on Sunday, was in Columbus. And so they all came to my show. We kicked it. And a guy by the name of Keith Bender, who we went to Germany with for a comedy tour. So Keith Bender opened for me. Keith was a little bit out of sorts because he had a job. Like he was doing some pressure watching. So he had a job before the show. He shows up at the show like right a little bit before it's time to get started. And Keith at the end of the show, when I closed and walked upstairs, Keith's supposed to come back and kind of thank everybody for coming out, give the church say, the benediction, send folks away with traveling mercies. But Keith didn't do that. Keith, I guess he was caught up hanging out with Marcus and and Mark. So he never made it back to the stage, which was a little aggravating, a little irritating. But we made it. Mama, we made it. We made it, man. The man said he never left the stage open. That's like a rookie mistake. Like when you first start, you never have an empty stage. Even at the end of the show, somebody comes back and say, hey, man, thank y'all so much. Hope you had a wonderful night. Get home safely. Y'all seen it if you Russell Simmons fans. God bless you. Good night. Just something short and sweet. Just nothing. Absolutely. Crickets. That's how Keith did me, man. Keith put me in the bed. Keith put me in the blender. Keith Bender put me in the blender. But we had a great time again. Columbus, thank you to Columbus. I will be coming to DC on September the 21st, the DC Loft, and I'm coming to Philly. I'm coming to Helium on September the 22nd, and I'm also coming to Birmingham, Alabama. Birmingham, Alabama, the Star Dome. That's going to take place in December. So, yeah, man, we're adding dates, but especially I feel very passionately about this DMV, this Philly connection, because people were saying for a while now, hey, man, when you come to DC, when you come into Philly, well, I'm coming. And I need y'all to come out too. I need y'all to get your tickets. Get your tickets and meet me at the Helium in Philly and meet me at the Loft in DC. Let's get it done. Let's get it done, people. I don't know y'all been watching the Olympics. I'm watching the Olympics. My family, we're big sports viewers. So they put that boy on that Olympics and let it go. I enjoyed the Olympics. A little bit I've seen. I'm not a rabbit Olympic follower. I kind of hit and miss a little bit. Was watching a little bit of Simone Biles. Yeah, let's get Simone name right. Simone Biles. What is going on? I've been, seeing that. Also, I'm a huge basketball, so I've watched all the U.S. men's and women's game. Matter of fact, I watched the U.S. Germany game today, which was a day later. But I watched U.S. women play Serbia or Belgium. I think they played Belgium. I think the men played Serbia. They played South Sudan. I'm not certain I know the U.S. men play tomorrow or 3:30. I'm not certain who they're playing, but I've enjoyed that. I did watch some of the track and field. I watched young Lyles get the gold medal. What I did find interesting, I saw myself watching some, I didn't see myself, but I was watching some beach volleyball, and Spain and Egypt was playing. So Spain out there in like almost no swimwear, and Egypt is out there in whole garb, like they were fencing. They had on fencing garb to play volleyball. Man, it's wild out here. It's wild out here in the Olympics games, but I've been enjoying it. I've been enjoying checking it out, but I definitely have been watching way, way more basketball than anything. So hopefully we have another great week of Olympic games. I've thoroughly enjoyed what I've been watching. And also shout out to my buddy. I got a call from my buddy about the edit in one of the podcasts. It was like, there was some question about whether I was going to be down with Jesus. Am I still on the team? And that's one thing you never have to be curious about. He used the word Carlton, the man's name, Carlton Pearson, where he started believing some different stuff. Like I'm on Team Jesus. As long as I got King Jesus, I don't need nobody else. Now I need other people too, but I'm on board with King Jesus. So whatever my questioning and my critical thinking and my exploring, it would never negate my relationship with Jesus. And we're going to be with Jesus until I get up out of this joint. So I'm sorry if I made that a little bit confusing. I've been having some time, confusing before. So I wanted to clear that up. Hopefully, man, y'all have enjoyed this episode. This has been a quick one. It's been fast. A little longer. I'm always going long. I don't respect the light in comedy. They give you the light. Let's say, ask you how much time you're going to do up front. I'll say 45. When do you want the light? Give it to me at 40. So you got 5 minutes. Kind of wind this thing out. I just looked down and it was 30-something minutes. I was like, oh, we ain't got no light. There is no light. Somebody hit me with the light. You should hit me the light at 25. Thank y'all for tuning in. Again, we still had the giveaway for God Ain't Petty, But I Am. Jennifer Jasper is my friend. She's going to donate a gift card to the podcast again. And if y'all don't take it, I'm going to take it because I'm going to be rocking God Ain't Petty, But I Am t-shirt. So I really don't want y'all to participate in the giveaway because I want to keep it for myself. But I would love for y'all. I would love to hear from you. If you're enjoying the podcast, just send me an email at info@comedianmikegoodwin.com. You can also just hit me up in my DMs. Hit me up anywhere that you know how. You can hit me on X, formerly known as Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, LinkedIn, MySpace. I think I go over to MySpace. No, I don't go to MySpace. But check it out, man. Thank y'all again for tuning in to another episode of the Best Advice Ever podcast. Next week, I'll be back. Same bat channel, same bat place. I appreciate you. You could have been anywhere in the world, but you're here with me, and I appreciate it. Peace.